Imagine inheriting your mother's favorite piece of jewelry and choosing never to wear it, not out of neglect, but out of love so deep that you preserve it exactly as she left it, frozen in time. Imagine owning what experts value at up to £180 million and wearing it perhaps half a dozen times in 70 years. Today, we're opening the jewel box that Queen Elizabeth II kept closest to her heart. The one filled not with her daily companions, but with the pieces she chose to preserve rather than display. These 7 brooches tell us more about the woman behind the crown than any she pinned to her lapel every day. They speak of impossible choices, of honoring those who came before, and of understanding that sometimes the greatest tribute we can pay is the deliberate act of preservation. The Carved Emerald Brooch, Ladies of India. Let me begin with perhaps the most touching piece of all, a brooch that embodies the complex relationship between empire, devotion, and the passage of time. In December 1911, King George V and Queen Mary arrived in Delhi for the spectacular Delhi Durbar. Among the most touching moments occurred when a deputation of Indian ladies, headed by the Maharani Patiala, arrived bearing gifts for Queen Mary. The women of India had pooled their resources to commission a brooch featuring a historic carved emerald set within a border of 30 diamonds, crafted in both silver and gold. The carved emerald itself is an artistic masterpiece. Cut into a hexagonal shape, the stone features delicate floral carvings on both sides, a rose on one side and elaborate flowering designs on the other, representative of Mughal craftsmanship at its finest. Queen Mary was deeply moved. In response to the ladies of India, she wrote, "The jewel you have given me will ever be very precious in my eyes, and whenever I wear it, though thousands of miles of land and sea separate us, my thoughts will fly to the homes of India. Your jewel shall pass to future generations as an imperial heirloom, and always stand as a token of the first meeting of an English queen with the ladies of India." True to her word, Queen Mary wore the brooch frequently, pairing it with the Delhi Durbar tiara and creating ensembles of breathtaking splendor. When Queen Mary died in 1953, the brooch passed to Queen Elizabeth II. Yet despite inheriting this piece laden with historical significance, Queen Elizabeth II did not wear it publicly for many decades. It was not until the 2000s, late in Elizabeth II's life, that the piece began to emerge for occasional public audiences, but even then, its appearances were measured and rare. The Queen seemed to understand that this was a piece belonging more to her grandmother's era, a connection to the imperial pageantry of Delhi, a moment when the British Empire stood at its zenith by declining to wear it frequently. She honored that past world as a historical moment rather than a living reality. What's truly remarkable is what happened after Queen Elizabeth II's death. In June 2024, Queen Camilla wore the Delhi Carved Emerald Brooch to Royal Ascot, suggesting that the new royal generation may be re-embracing the imperial artifacts that their predecessors preserved but did not regularly display. Queen Mary's turquoise and diamond brooch. Few pieces tell a story quite as poignant as Queen Mary's turquoise and diamond brooch. Its tale is one of patience, waiting, and the perfect moment for revival. A brooch that remained invisible for more than 6 decades before finding its moment to shine. This distinctive cluster brooch features a striking turquoise centerpiece surrounded by an oval of precisely cut diamonds. The piece was presented to Princess May of Teck on her wedding day in 1893 when she married the future King George V. Her new in-laws, the Prince and Princess of Wales, selected this turquoise and diamond brooch as their wedding present. Queen Mary treasured this brooch and wore it occasionally throughout her life, most memorably during a gala performance in 1948 when the Danish royal family visited London, pairing it with the Cullinan III IV diamond suspended as a pendant. When Queen Mary died in 1953, Queen Elizabeth II inherited it. Yet this particular brooch remained untouched and unworn for an extraordinary 61 years through the entire length of Elizabeth II's reign, through state visits and coronations, through jubilees and historic moments. This turquoise brooch remained sequestered, its beauty preserved but unseen. Then, in 2014, something extraordinary happened. Queen Elizabeth II, now in her late 80s, decided it was time to resurrect this particular piece. She wore it for a visit to Derbyshire, and it soon became part of her regular rotation, appearing at celebrations for her 90th birthday at Windsor Castle. But it was on April 5, 2020, during one of the most unprecedented moments of her reign, that the turquoise brooch gained particular significance. As Queen Elizabeth II delivered a rare national address during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, she chose to wear this turquoise and diamond brooch from her grandmother. Her words that evening were ones of hope. We should take comfort that while we may have more still to endure, better days will return. We will be with our friends again. We will be with our families again. We will meet again. The symbolism was not lost on royal observers. The turquoise, with its legendary role as a talisman of healing, protection, and renewal, was deliberately chosen to send a message of hope. Moreover, the brooch carried the legacy of Queen Mary, a woman who had lived through the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918 to 1920. By wearing her grandmother's turquoise brooch, Queen Elizabeth II was invoking Mary's resilience and steady leadership during a time of national crisis. Granny's chips. If you were to ask jewelry experts to name the most valuable brooch ever created, many would point to Granny's chips, an affectionate name given by Queen Elizabeth II herself to the Cullinan III IV brooch. Estimated to be worth between £50 million and £180 million, this isn't merely jewelry, it's a fragment of legend. The story begins in 1905, when the largest gem-quality rough diamond ever discovered was found in South Africa's Premier mine. The Cullinan diamond weighed an astounding 3,106 carats. When master cutter Joseph Asher first attempted to cleave the diamond, the tools broke. Only on a second attempt did he succeed, and according to legend, he fainted from the stress. Over 18 months, 3 master artisans working 14-hour days carefully cut the massive diamond into 9 principal stones. The 2 diamonds that comprise Granny's chips are the Cullinan III, a 94.4 carat pear-shaped stone, and the Cullinan IV, a 63.6 carat square-cut diamond. In 1911, Cartier set these extraordinary diamonds into a platinum brooch setting. Queen Mary treasured this brooch deeply, referring to the stones affectionately as her chips. When Mary passed away in 1953, she left this precious brooch to the young queen as a tangible symbol of her love. The first time Queen Elizabeth II wore this extraordinary piece was during a deeply personal moment in 1958. While on a state visit to the Netherlands, she visited the workshops of the Asher Company, the same firm responsible for cutting the original Cullinan diamond. There, she met Louis Asher, an elderly brother of Joseph Asher, who had been present when the master diamond was cut 50 years earlier. The Queen, understanding the profound significance of the moment, unpinned the brooch from her dress and placed it gently into the nearly blind old man's hands. As he held the brooch containing the very diamonds he had helped to cut half a century before, tears streamed down his face. In that moment, the Queen spoke the phrase that would become the brooch's enduring nickname, Granny's chips. Over her 70-year reign, Queen Elizabeth II wore this brooch only approximately half a dozen times. She selected it for occasions of profound historical or personal significance. Her Diamond Jubilee in 2012 visits to the Netherlands where the diamond's cutting heritage held special meaning. Despite its status as potentially the most valuable brooch in the world, she rarely wore it. The sheer magnitude of its value, combined with its irreplaceable historical significance, meant that every public appearance had to be carefully considered and deeply meaningful. Queen Victoria's Diamond Fringe Brooch. Perhaps no brooch carries a more international history or more dramatic transformation than Queen Victoria's Diamond Fringe Brooch, a piece that began as part of an enormous corsage ornament and was later reimagined, yet remained rarely worn by Queen Elizabeth II. The story begins in 1856 during the Crimean War, when Ottoman Sultan Abdulmajid I presented Queen Victoria with a collection of brilliant diamonds so magnificent that Victoria noted in her diary they would have to be reset because they were simply too imposing to wear as received. Victoria entrusted these diamonds to Garrard and Company, who transformed them into a breathtaking chaîne de corsage, a magnificent corsage ornament featuring an enormous emerald-cut diamond as the centerpiece, with graduated diamond chains creating an elaborate fringe. Victoria wore it for state portraits, most famously in an 1859 portrait by Winterhalter. However, when Prince Albert died in 1861, Victoria withdrew from public life and entered deep mourning. The magnificent corsage ornament seemed suddenly too ostentatious. In 1870, she made a remarkable decision. She had the piece partially dismantled. The side fringe sections were removed and the central diamonds were reset into her small diamond crown. What remained was the diamond fringe brooch, featuring a large emerald-cut diamond surrounded by 12 large, brilliant-cut diamonds, from which 9 graduated diamond chains suspend downward, creating the visual effect of a diamond waterfall. When Queen Victoria died in 1901, she left it personally to King Edward VII, who passed it to Queen Alexandra. Queen Alexandra wore the fringe brooch frequently, selecting it for the first state opening of Parliament of Edward's reign in 1901 and the 1913 wedding of her granddaughter. The brooch passed to Queen Mary in 1925, and in 1936 was handed over to the new Queen Elizabeth, for whom it soon became a favourite, being worn on numerous occasions. The Queen Mother had actually worn the brooch for the 1953 coronation. Yet despite this remarkable history, Queen Elizabeth II wore this brooch only occasionally throughout her 70-year reign, including a 2011 state banquet honouring the President of Turkey and D-Day commemorations in 2014. Some pieces of jewellery feel almost too laden with history, too saturated with the memories of those who wore them before to be easily integrated into a contemporary wardrobe. This brooch carries within it the memories of Victoria's love for Albert, her grief at his death, the opulence of Edward VII's reign, and the quiet dignity of Alexandra's widowhood. The Queen Mother's Sapphire Corsage Brooch. Now we turn to what might be the most poignant piece, a brooch that speaks to the deepest bond between mother and daughter, and the power of leaving something untouched. In April 1923, when Lady Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon married Prince Albert, Duke of York, Queen Mary selected a wedding gift that would become legendary, a spectacular suite of sapphire and diamond jewellery. At its heart was the Sapphire Corsage Brooch, an opulent example of Edwardian elegance featuring scrollwork and floral motifs, complemented by a pair of elegantly asymmetrical negligée pendants. The Queen Mother adored this brooch with a passion that lasted her entire life. She wore it to a Red Cross Gala in 1933, the Royal Variety Performance in 1935, her 85th birthday celebrations in August 1980, and for the christening of her great-grandson Prince William in 1982, when she coordinated it beautifully with a blue dress and hat that echoed the sapphires. For nearly 80 years, this brooch was her companion through joy and sorrow, through war and peace, through the loss of her beloved husband and the long decades of her widowhood. When the Queen Mother passed away in 2002, the brooch passed into Queen Elizabeth II's personal collection. And here is where the story becomes truly moving. Queen Elizabeth II never wore it. Not once during her 20-year ownership of the piece did she pin it to her dress or pass it to a family member. Why? By refusing to wear it, Elizabeth II preserved the memory of her beloved mother exactly as she wished to remember her, adorned in her favorite jewel, frozen in time. To wear it herself would have felt like an intrusion into those precious memories, as if attempting to replace rather than honor her mother's connection to the piece. This brooch remains a sacred heirloom, a perfect example of how Queen Elizabeth II understood that sometimes the greatest tribute to those we love is the deliberate act of preservation, leaving their most cherished possessions untouched. The Cartier Lily Brooch. In 1939, as war clouds gathered over Europe, Cartier conceived of an ambitious project for Queen Elizabeth, the future Queen Mother. The firm had amassed 589 loose diamonds on behalf of the Queen, and they proposed creating something breathtaking. The result was a brooch of such remarkable proportions that it acquired the nickname the foot-long brooch, though it actually measures just under 7 inches. Fashioned in the form of a stem of lilies with 2 open flowers, the brooch features 197 diamonds from the Queen's existing collection, supplemented by 52 additional diamonds supplied by Cartier, for a total of 249 precious stones. One of the brooch's most famous early appearances came in June 1939, during a momentous state visit to the United States. As Queen Elizabeth rode through the streets of Washington, D.C., in an open motorcar alongside Eleanor Roosevelt, the magnificent lily brooch caught the sunlight, visible just behind the Queen's parasol in the iconic photograph. However, after the outbreak of World War II in September 1939, the Queen seldom wore the piece. The brooch's considerable weight, driven by its 249 diamonds and substantial platinum setting, combined with its dramatic size, made it ill-suited to the austerity and restraint required during the war years. It was too grand, too ostentatious for a nation girding itself for sacrifice. When the Queen Mother passed the brooch to her daughter in 2002, it remained a rarely worn piece. Its sheer size and weight made it impractical for regular wear. In her 70-year reign, Queen Elizabeth II wore the Cartier Lily Brooch only sporadically, most memorably at a South African state dinner in 2010, an appearance so rare that jewellery historians initially had difficulty identifying the piece. The brooch remains a masterpiece of mid-20th century jewellery design, yet it stands as a quiet reminder that sometimes beauty is too grand, too ambitious, to wear with ease. The Flower Basket Brooch. In November 1948, Princess Elizabeth's parents presented their daughter with an exceptional gift to commemorate the birth of her first child, Prince Charles, the future heir to the throne. This was the Flower Basket Brooch. This exquisite jardinière brooch represents a design tradition stretching back to the Georgian era, when jewelers created pieces depicting elaborate arrangements of flowers in decorative baskets. The brooch features a composition of remarkable complexity. A large ruby forms the central focal point, surrounded by diamond spraywork. Additional ruby, sapphire, and diamond petals are arranged throughout, creating the impression of a full, bursting arrangement of precious blooms. The bottom of the basket is accented with carefully selected emeralds. The timing of this gift was significant beyond the simple fact of Prince Charles's birth. The brooch symbolized the Queen's transition from princess to mother, from the younger generation to her new role within the royal family's succession. It captured the joy and optimism of that moment, the promise of the young prince and the future he represented. Queen Elizabeth wore the brooch frequently in the years immediately following its receipt, most memorably in 1948 when she was photographed wearing it in official portraits with her infant son, Prince Charles, in his christening gown. The brooch appeared again in 2013 when she selected it for the christening of Prince George, her great-grandson, creating a poignant symmetry across generations. Yet despite its beauty and personal significance, the Flower Basket Brooch remained relatively unworn over the course of Queen Elizabeth II's 70-year reign. While she returned to it occasionally, it never became a regular part of her brooch wardrobe. The reasons may be partly practical. Its elaborate design and multiple colors made it less versatile than simpler pieces. But they also speak to how even the most meaningful gifts sometimes recede into the background of our lives, treasured more for what they represent than for their regular use. These 7 brooches reveal something profound. Queen Elizabeth II understood that sometimes the most important role we play is not as wearers, but as guardians and preservers. These pieces became repositories of memory, connections to previous generations, and living documents of royal history. For those of us watching from around the world, there is something deeply resonant in this philosophy. We too have precious things that we sometimes hesitate to use. Queen Elizabeth II's approach offers a gentle message that sometimes the greatest way to honor what we have inherited is to treasure it with such care that it becomes sacred, a bridge between the past and the future. Which of these 8 brooches touched your heart the most? Do you have a treasured piece you've chosen to preserve rather than wear? Share your stories in the comments below. If this journey moved you, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another exploration into the lives, legacies, and treasures of history's most remarkable women. Thank you for joining me today. Until next time, may you find beauty not just in what you display, but in what you choose to preserve with love.